Hi, and welcome to the Midwinter Training Conference. You've reached the 2021 Trends Toward Digital Advertising session, and it's really great to have you. And look forward to telling you more about what I'm seeing in trends toward digital advertising this year. My name is Michael Grant. I am a former teaching fellow with the Google News Lab, where I train journalists around the country how to use Google products for reporting and storytelling. And I'm also an alum of the John S. Knight Journalism Fellowship at Stanford. While there, I researched issues facing Black publishers and HBCU programs, and it was a 10-month fellowship, so I got a chance to ask some critical questions about what are the problems and what can we do about them. And so my response was to found a studio. And so I am founder of Get Current Studio. We are a Black-owned editorial design, web development, and storytelling studio, and we guide ethnic media publishers through digital transformation. You can visit us at getcurrent.studio. So I want to just kind of take a moment to give you context for why I built this studio, which I think aligns really well with today's topic of discussion. But we're in the business of thoughtfully delivered web services. And in my research of HBCU journalism programs and Black publishers, I found that most publishers are underserved. And so my solutions to really zero in on were to build superior websites that are beautifully designed, performant, and mobile and search optimized, to provide superior technical support as well. So having several forms at the ready via chat or phone or support guides and one-on-one screen sharing. I think this kind of really intentional approach to problem solving when you need issues addressed on websites is really important. And also hands-on training, so empowering teams through cross-disciplinary learning and making sure that there's a real knowledge transfer between folks who have certain kinds of information about your business or of your business model, and then other parts of the business, whether it's editorial and membership or if it's social and editorial. We really want to make sure that these folks know what's going on and they can be on the same page. So we help facilitate that. One of our philosophies is that beautiful design is and will always be incredibly important. We're humans, we build things, we make things, we share them with people, and we all know that people specialize in things. And so I got my start in design, and I've since transitioned from being only a print designer to a web designer and developer as well. And so we still take that great pride in servicing our clientele, whether they are still shipping a print newspaper and want to continue to grow and strengthen their relationship with those readers, or if they want more performant, beautiful websites. We also focus on mobile storytelling. So some of the work that you'll see here signals that we have a big interest in things like illustration, data visualization, visual storytelling, and with some of the platforms today, you can use things like Instagram to do visual storytelling through Instagram stories or Facebook stories. Another thing that we do are display on websites, and so here's a piece that we did for Cal Matters, where they did a pretty extensive report, and so we can build custom pages that or project pages as we call them, making sure that for those special reports you can still get the display that you're looking for. And here's another example of a recent launch. This was just a landing page for URL Media But again, just making sure that people are telling the story of their brand and what they hope to achieve, and doing that in a visually compelling way, I think is super important, and even more important for um, Black, Indigenous, people of color led organizations. So this talk isn't going to be about design, um, uh, not from the visual side. But we are going to focus really heavily on the trends again that we're seeing in digital advertising and revenue. And I added "and revenue" because advertising is a great way to earn money online, and many of you have been doing that. And by no means is this talk going to tell you that you haven't been out there grinding and and selling ads, whether it's like direct or already running some form of Google Ads in your website. The real focus of this talk is how we can improve and take advantage of opportunities to get more revenue, and how that leads into stronger revenue through advertising. So I want to kick this talk off with the key lesson in all of this. And it is that awareness is your key to profits. And awareness, I think, is just being mindful of all the things that are going on in journalism, and and how you can take advantage of them from your unique market position. So this year, you're going to want to explore these 5 strategies. And I want to share with you that small and large um, publishers in the industry are embracing each of these. And those are learning and education, revenue models, branded content, better websites, and programmatic ads. We're going to dig deep into each of these, but take note of these 5 um, items that you'll want to prioritize this year. So let's talk about learning and education. Um, Again, I think this speaks right into the whole idea of awareness. There's lots of programs that are happening right now. Uh, they all focus on different things. There's tons of overlap in each one of these programs. If you've done a search of the internet, or you've been on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn, and you got invited to apply for a particular grant, well, there is a learning and education opportunity for you. Um, and I just want to kind of take another step back and say, from my vantage point, what I'm noticing, right? And so Black publishers have been out of the conversation for quite some time. And last year, I think, reflects a lot of the change in making sure that these publishers are at the table and being included in some of the conversations that are happening in journalism, and how news organizations should be responding. Um, but a lot of the specialty work that's been happening in journalism for some time now, a lot of that education comes from things like conferences and other types of meetups, and training opportunities come out of those kinds of things. And so a lot of journalists that have lots of skills, whether it's in audience growth or you know um, advertising and online revenue or sustainability and that kind of thing, a lot of that is happening at conferences that you know a lot of us may not be at. And that is not your fault either, not entirely. Oftentimes, these groups haven't been coming to the Black press and inviting them into these places. So it's really great to take advantage of these new learning opportunities and programs that are there, because um, because you get it in a way that it's built and designed just for you. And so there's lots of those opportunities, and some of them are even free and widely available. I also want to kind of express that there is no one size fits all solution. And so as you are onboarding into these programs, you're going to come in there with your news organization's unique challenges. whether it's a program that's widely available or one that you've enrolled into, your organization is going to have to respond in ways that are unique to your organization. And so there is no one size fits all. We're going to try to find, you should be exploring and finding which methods are going to be best for you. One of the big things I want to call out here is the News Consumer Insights Playbook. And so this is another free, widely available, text that will give you insights to how to understand news consumer behavior when they're on your site, and then it sets you up for how you can respond to that. And so this is a really important playbook that you should read from cover to cover and understand exactly what it's talking about. And all of like the information in here, it's not a heavy read. If anything becomes technical, you guys have my contact information. Ask me about it. I will break down any of the concepts that you might not understand. Another really important resource in journalism right now, in my opinion, is the membership guide by the Membership Puzzle Project. And this has everything to do with how you can understand what readers are looking for, how you can position yourself to better serve them, and how you can create revenue opportunities from your understanding of audience. All right, so this again is another free text. They are participants in many programs that you might see that you can enroll into. But I highly recommend that you participate in upcoming sessions that they have. And if you apply for them, make sure, or if you see them come open for more applications for certain sessions like Membership 101, please apply. We'll touch on some of the thinking behind membership as part of revenue in the grand scheme of advertising and revenue. So you can visit this guide by going to membershipguide.org/handbook. And it is an incredible read. I highly recommend. They have tons of examples of what news organizations are doing, not just in the US, but around the world. And organizations are small and large. So don't be discouraged that you have a small newsroom or that you only have a few on staff. It's really about understanding the techniques that you can use in order to drive memberships, which help to drive revenue. And another really huge resource, again, shout out to Google News Initiative. This web page here is, it's a program, and you'll notice that advertising revenue is a part of that. It says coming soon, but there's still some resources up there, which I will guide you to, and you'll see this at the end of this presentation. But success online and is important, and there's lots of points to success online. And so this program touches on the key things that are key to your success. It's audience development, it's reader revenue, it's advertising revenue, it's what you can do with data, and it's about building great products. So all these things should be top of mind. And I know for publishers, for the folks who own publications, it's about hitting bottom line, and I get that. But in order to do this in a holistic manner where you're firing on all cylinders, you're going to have to touch on all of these because they all are in relationship with each other. So you can visit this page by going to newsinitiative.withgoogle.com/digital-growth. I know that's long. Hit me up after this presentation for links to all the places. So let's talk about revenue models. And the word that's missing here is reader revenue models. Now, in lots of my consulting, it's kind of a tough sell in some cases to say, hey, you can make money from your users online. And folks are like, well, people aren't going to pay for a subscription. Well, I have news for you. There are ways to get people to fund your news organization or to support the journalism that you do or to take pride in being one of your audience members. And so reader revenue is possible online, and it takes a great level of exploration into your audience. And so there are models that you can test in order to figure out um, what you like, what kind of appeal you will make in order for people to say, I'm willing to give $5 to you every month because I want to support you. And I notice I didn't say subscription, I said support. So there's ways to look at this. Let's dive deeper. Um, One of the key things is to know the key types of website visitors you have. So if we think about folks who generally come to our websites, we have casual readers, we have loyal readers, we have brand lovers, people who have to read our stuff every day, right? They're looking for us for stuff, we give it to them. Those are brand lovers. And subscribers, those are people who are so dedicated that they've paid their way into something, all right? So those are the key types of people. That's a funnel. Now let's dig deeper into ways to look at the funnel. Um, Actually, I'll take a step back. Let's talk about moving the needle, right? Because yeah, we can be aware that there are casual readers, and yes, we can be aware that there are loyal readers, and we can be aware that there are brand lovers, and we know that we want to get people to spend money with us. But we really want to know how to move the needle. And what I mean by move the needle, I mean how can we get a percentage of casual readers to become loyal readers, right? So if I have 80% of my total readers, how can I get 10% more of those? How can if I have 80% casual readers, how can I get 10% of those to become loyal readers? All right. And how can I get 5% of loyal readers to become brand lovers? Now, that's that or subscriber, right? So that's a big jump to say, yeah, these people come and they depend on us for information, but what can we do to get them to want to support our organization? So this is the lens that we can start to look at how we engage our audience. And how we engage our audience, or how valuable we are to our audience, is really the differentiator between someone who is casually reading, someone who comes often because we have decent information, but have we actually enticed them to come and support our organization in some way? Have we made a emotional connection with our users? That's an open-ended question, but the idea is to want to explore that, and even better if you can see the data, right? So this is actually News Consumer Insights. You can install it on your website. It pulls from analytics data, feeds into this interface, and now you can make decisions on understanding what percent of your page views have loyal readers, and then figuring out what kinds of content that they're reading, and then figuring out, is there a way to build something that will convert them to become a brand lover? So it's important to understand your readers' needs, right? And so it takes an understanding of product and content. We want to understand their willingness to pay. We have to create value-added benefits, right? So what is the benefit of supporting our news organization, for example? We want to get into the business of marketing and positioning, right? And when I say marketing and positioning, maybe I want to do an ad campaign for my news organization that speaks to a specific set of readers that reached a lot of people on Facebook and Google. And now that I have their attention, I have this kind of content that I can share with them. Maybe I convert them, right? So that's the marketing and positioning kind of thing. How will you position your brand or your news organization around what appeals to users? All right. And then having a good user experience. We need to make sure that people can successfully make it from start to finish in our funnel, right? If a page loads slow, if it's a bad user experience, if the language is off, if if they fall through the cracks, like all of those things can prevent uh, you getting money from your audience. Now let's really quickly touch on models. So we have subscriptions, contributions, and memberships. And here's a really great way to think about these things. Ask yourself, do I want to restrict content? If the answer is yes, you might want to do subscriptions. And if in order for someone to want to subscribe, you're going to have to really do your job of outlining what value added benefits you can provide. And maybe, just maybe, they'll become a member, right? Or if you don't want to restrict content, you can say, we're going to go toward a contributions model. And so that means, hey, I want to support your news organization. I love the work that you're doing. Well, what membership, I mean, what benefits can you provide someone who wants to support? Is it going to be access to reporters? Is it going to be being able to come to events, having a access to a key politician? Is it going to be hosted conversations? You have to come up with creative things that make them want to contribute and feel appreciated. And that may also become a membership program. So membership programs are flexible and as creative as you want them to be, right? And they all become part of your model. A note on subscriptions. Um, Usually it takes a good deal of technology to run a successful subscriptions program, right? So think about your website. Think about who's providing you service on your website, right? Think about, is it going to be easy to implement a custom subscription? Those are the kinds of questions that you have to ask yourself because it takes technology to power a subscription. And it's the same thing with contributions, but there might be far fewer steps. And with contributions, we don't have to lock down our content. So there's a bunch to think about when you're making this consideration, but this at least gives you a little bit of a framework for how you might think about subscriptions, contributions, and memberships. Now, again, you have to make it easy for your readers to subscribe. So if growing readers is what you're trying to do, then you're going to have to focus on key metrics. We don't have to get into the nuts and bolts of each part of this chain here. But each one of these, growing readers, engaging readers, converting your readers into subscribers, and retaining them, there are going to be key performance metrics in all of these. There's going to be things that you have to look for in terms of, you know, what is the main point of some of these particular parts. So if growing your readers is important, you know, you want to be making sure that maybe you're putting more resources into your marketing plans, and that way you can get more monthly active users, right? If you fan or spread like a cast a wide net, you'll have more people coming. But part of it is to make sure that you're engaging those readers, right? So you want to make sure that your page speeds are performant. You want to know that your average visits are going up. You don't want to spend money promoting and then it's not catching people. So maybe it's something that's happening with the promotion, and so on. So you're going to want to make sure that you are tracking the right metrics in order to get the success that you're looking for. And it all has to be, at the end of the day, an easy experience for the user. So again, build a value proposition around the user needs. So we touched on this already, but it's kind of in a different way. And really it's about, again, do I want to restrict content? Yes or no? And then what value added benefit will I provide? All right. And again, let's talk about where you might want to spend resources, right? Um, Maybe you want to go and get more website sales or signups, or maybe you want to get more calls going, right? Maybe you're doing something for funders and you want the opportunity to get on the line with more funders, or uh, minus the physical location. Let's just focus on website sales and signups. Where does that fit into this? Growing your audience, engaging your audience, converting your readers, retaining your readers, right? So again, um, you can make money off your audience, and maybe you're only engaging a small set of a larger audience in your market. So how would you grow it? You might have to do a marketing campaign, right? But we're assuming that you've already figured out what the value added benefit is of someone engaging with your content, right? So that when they get to your website, it actually engages them, and then it converted them from a reader to a loyal reader, or from a reader to I want to support this news organization. And now that you have them, you have to focus on how can you continue that relationship with them? What other programs will you put together? How will you speak to those users or those readers? That is where you're moving the needle. Okay, so in total, in creating your reader revenue model development, you're going to focus on quality journalism, having experience that people are willing to financially support and pay for, having great marketing position in your model, and making sure those benefits are aligned with the user's interest, right? That may take a little bit of audience research. It may take, you know, uh, actually interviewing the people who you want to appeal to. It takes understanding what they're looking for and what they need, and then how you can deliver it for them. And then this is a little technical, but I just want to paint another picture, right? Maybe we use emails as another way to, get readers. And so here's an example. Uh-oh. The Post and Courier doesn't have many registered known users, meaning uh, folks who subscribed to something on the site where they know the person, who the person is, and where they're coming from. Um, and Non-subscriber visitors may be willing to exchange information. So a new user might be willing to exchange information for the ability to unlock premium content, which acts as a combined lead generation and pay model function, right? So maybe I'm willing to give you guys my email address in order to see this content. Okay, lock one news article and one opinion article per day. Content. So this is what we're going to experiment with basically. We're going to lock one news article and one opinion article per day, and then content selected by a team of executive editor, opinion editor, digital audience, and product editor. Okay, so our team came up with the ones that we want to lock and unlock. And so that might be something that you try out for a month and see how did it do. Did you get more people to give you their email? And now that they're in the funnel, maybe you say you're emailing them consistently now saying, hey, if you're interested in more kinds of um, reporting like this, sign up for our new newsletter, and run a program. So this is the kind of approach that you have to audience, right? Hey, these are people who are coming to us. How can we get them into the funnel? All right, let's talk about branded content. I'll touch on this really quickly because um, uh, it's hot right now, and it's a huge opportunity. Um, so you might be familiar with the Branded Content Project. This comes out of the Local Media Association, and I love this tagline: "Storytelling is the best marketing." Essentially, they have hired a there's hired guns as part of the service to write really compelling, really engaging, professional, top-notch content. That focuses on certain buckets of your audience, and and you can sell this to basically sponsors, right? So the Seattle Medium, they did a terrific job of showing us this at the last session that we did for the um, NNPA, but they showed us that the branded content experience looks a lot like uh, the experience of their current website. And so on the left, you have a module that's from their editorial staff. And then here's another module that comes just under that, actually, in the same website. And when you click through, you get this modal box. And so you haven't left the website, right? The user hasn't left the website. The user hasn't clicked over to another page. This is inside the site. It opens up, and then now they can read, these branded content stories. And so the sponsor of this package basically has paid to engage this audience in this way, right? And then you'll see another the area off to the right there. That's another one of the sponsor for this. That's their area for advertising there and appeal to that particular reader. And so this was a wonderful way to make money. And I don't remember the figures, but I think they were like it's somewhere at like $70,000 for some kind of campaign like this. I know the Houston Defenders catching on with this. They're selling like hotcakes in other markets. So this is a very easy implementation. It's nothing but like a piece of script in your page. You drop that in there, and they emulate the layout of your website, so it looks and feels like it's a part of your website, but it's actually not. Um, and it totally engages folks, and it's all powered by AMP, so it's super performant. Um, and so I highly recommend that you visit the branded content website and learn more about it. Get Current Studio actually built the training for this. We did not actually create the training materials, but we built the site and created the training, the flow of the training. So you can learn all about how branded content works and how you can take advantage of it. And then once you reach out to the branded content team, you'll get access to their back end where you can start using this on your own and selling against it. Okay, now it's hard to run things like branded content and do um, you know uh, audience revenue, audience generated revenue, if you don't have a good website. All right, so I'm flagging this now because there are some things that have to be done in order to do it well. So let me just kind of take you on a little bit of a story here. All right, this comes from Glenn Perkins at Q City Metro, and he says, even among legacy Black publishers or the legacy Black press, conversion from print to digital has been slow and uneven. And he said this in Columbia Journalism Review in 2017. It's 2021, and we can still take a look around the internet, and it's not hard to see that a lot of our sites are behind the times in how they operate, right? Um, and so, yes, print for our folks is still one of the main drivers of revenue, but that has to change. And there's so many more opportunities that are coming available in digital that you should be able to make the same print revenue, but have a lion's share of your overall revenue in digital. It's possible. I'm going to lay out a quick example of what I mean, right, by it's possible. So when the George Floyd situation happened, right, this thing exploded like wildfire online. Um, Folks around, not just in the United States, but around the world, we're trying to find out what the heck is happening in the United States. People are going insane over this dude named George Floyd, right? So I checked out the trends data on this, and Flourish Studio also did a really cool data visualization here. and you're seeing all this activity around this, right? So remember I said you can pay your way into audience reach, right? You can go to Google and pay, you can go to Facebook and pay, you can go to Instagram and pay, Twitter, right? But you don't have to pay for this when people are searching for a big story. You don't have to pay for that. That is a black story, right? The black press should be telling George Floyd's story and be at the center of that storytelling. But if you took a look at Google and you tried to see where you could find the storytelling, it was hard to find in search. What that tells me is that I have to be, I have to know what black newspaper I want to turn to in order to get that information. But if those are the only readers that we're focused on, then we've missed the whole world, right? And being able to engage them when they came to our site. So in Google Web, um, you it would. I mean, I did the work here. Like, I went through, George Floyd and looked at all the stories in the carousel in web search. I looked specifically in Google News in the tab there. No black publications, with the exception of maybe the Undefeated, which is not a black publication. It's an ESPN publication. Never mind that. And then I went to Google Video, still nothing. And it's not to say that the black press was not on the story, right? You were on the story. You did do reporting. You tell it. And props to you for that. Like, I celebrate you. But the problem is the website. The problem is the fact that um, it's been so bad that they're not mobile optimized. Well, and I'm speaking broadly. Many of them are not mobile optimized. Many of them do not have structured data. Many of them um, are not indexed with Google. There's a lot of things that you can do to SEO optimize your sites, and maybe some of it is done some of the time, but the entire um, build of the site might be the problem, right? And so, because of that, when opportunities like this to center ourselves around a story come available, we miss them. And just think, what if there is people in different parts of the country that saw your storytelling around this particular event and decided, I'm going to give them $20, or I'm going to support this organization because of the reporting that they're delivering. So they don't even have to be your intended audience for them to care about the work that you do, right? So I just want to make that connection that the structure of the sites have to improve, right? You can do a lot of the work, but in essence, if you don't have the performing website that's well indexed and performant, you're going to miss the opportunity to surface. And this is just an example. I didn't put the publisher here. I put a lot of publishers into the page speed insights tool. I put a lot of publishers here to see how they're performing. Page speed insights is a tool by Google that will show you how your website is performing on desktop and mobile. And so that's what I did in this particular case. I'm not naming any names, but I'm just using it as one example to say we have to have better websites. So this is 38 on a scale of, so 0 to 49 is, not great. 50 to 89 is decent, but not great. And then 90 to 100 means, it's really easy for your pages to load, people to get the story, they can come in and come out. And maybe if the experience is good enough and fast enough, they may look at other things because the website allowed them to do it. And on mobile, it's at the absolute bottom of the rating. And so we gotta do better. So the question then becomes, how is your website service experience? What do you need to move to in order to make the improvement, right? And again, I say this from the most humble place on the planet, right? Like, I'm really concerned about my Black press and their ability to reach the audiences that they need to reach. And so you really have to ask yourself, um, you know, are we being served the way we should be served? Do we have a superior website experience? Is it beautiful? Is it elegant? Is it telling our stories the way we need it to? Is it technically performing the way it should? When things happen, do I get the support that I'm looking for? And does my staff know how to do everything that I need them to do inside the website? If your answer to any one of these is no, then there's probably an issue, right? And you need to look for, I encourage you to look for some kind of funding or support or a program that can help maybe offset the cost of of a website upgrade. But just know that it needs to be done, and the bigger part here is that without a decent website, it's even hard to make money. One thing I want to call out is NewsPack. So you've probably been hearing a lot about this. I kind of showed this little display of NewsPack. It gives you lots of control over your home pages, and there's lots of features. There's money-making features so that you can do membership programs and start getting money flowing from your audience and stuff. So that's what it looks like. They have a website. You can apply for their program. Essentially, if for some publishers or they've had the cost offset by a program that they were able to get into. Um, I think they also entertain the idea of bringing on publishers for a certain amount of time, and that might be for one initial fee, and then at the end, like by the time you make it to a certain number of returning users or users to your website, maybe after you make it across like 500K a month or something like that, then you might be paying a little bit more. But it's one of the solutions, and they're not the only solution, but they're what I feel are a recommended solution for small publishers to get a really great level of website performance and the ability to do more inside of their website. So I encourage you to apply for that. I think they have just a little bit of a process for how you can get started with them. But click that blue button, go to newspack.pub, click that button, apply. And it solves the problem of a lot of things. This is maybe looks like a little bit of a technical chart, but um, you'll see on the side, on the left-hand side, says customization, and then publishing and marketing going top to bottom. So it addresses issues in all of these core areas: customization, how well you can publish, and then how well you can market. And so you can see a little bit of some of the things that they had on their development roadmap. But all of these would be immediate things that improve how your site performs. So you wouldn't have to worry about whether you're ranking in Google anymore. You would be able to have a site that performs the way it should. Okay, and finally, this leads us to programmatic ads. And I've saved the best for last because, well, without a website, you can't do programmatic. So programmatic ads are simply a way for your site to auto-magically serve an ad, right, that met the buyer's requirements for the ad, right? Okay, and so there are Google services that help optimize the money that you can make with programmatic ads, right? So maybe you're selling direct, and then you also have some programmatic ad buys, right? Depending on where you have things in your site, how fast your site loads, how many visitors you get on certain pages, the positions that people bought, like all of those are like factors that behind the scenes, some of these Google ad platforms can like do the discernment to figure out when's the best time to serve an ad, so that you're always making the most money and doing it even alongside direct ads. Okay, so this is the goal, right? To have a site that's generating ad revenue that you can even sell against and be making money, right? But the problem is you can't do programmatic with a bad website. And to be frank, part of the problem is um, you may have like a custom implementation of Google ad technology, right? And if you have a custom implementation of it, then when things go wrong, you have to go to a developer and ask them to fix it. And how aware are you of when this ad tech isn't working as intended, right? Um, so that becomes a really high level conversation to have. And so you can't make that money if it's not working. So it's almost an imperative to have a better website, one that is shown to work with programmatic ad platforms. All right. And so there are um, programs, um, more recently, the Google Ad Transformation Lab. That is one of those intentional kind of programs where the technology stack is supported. Okay. It's maintained, meaning you can trust that it'll always work with your site, right? So we want to make sure that when we're making decisions about where to get our web service from, we're making it with the idea that our tech stack is going to be well maintained so those green dollars can be flowing across the screen. Now, I probably don't have to tell you much about Google Ad Manager, but some of you are probably already familiar with it, particularly if you're selling direct. Um, so that's awesome. And then there's Google AdSense, which should be a place that you graduate to or get that going. But that's the service that's going to give you control of programmatic ad inventories, and it'll be working behind the scenes uh, to position the ads that are going to net you the highest gain and insert those into the website. So there's a lot of, I'd say there's two parts that are really core to getting started with this. And it all starts with implementation, right? And so having an AdSense account or if you had an ad manager account, you should be able to get really easily into an AdSense. Depending on what you're using for your website, you can install a plugin like Google Site Kit, um, which will connect you with all the Google services like analytics and AdSense and so on. But that's going to be what you need to implement in order to get this running on your site successfully. And then for those advanced users, this would be for, let's just say, if you have some kind of agency that's serving your website needs, they're going to have to do the advanced implementation. But for me, in my opinion, from what I've been seeing in service of Black publishers, I've lost confidence in what a lot of agencies are doing in helping publishers to make sure that they are keeping their tech stack running well enough for something like Google Ad Manager and AdSense. So I'm not sure. Obviously, I'd have to we could check and see what the performance is on for different publishers to see how performant it is, and if you're losing or if you're running successfully. But I reckon, from what I can tell, that this has been a problem space for a lot of publishers. Now, if you want to know more about strategies with ads, that's a whole workshop in itself. And the best place that I think you can start to peel back the layers is through the Ad Revenue Lab landing page. So this is an on-demand course where there have been speakers invited, and they're sharing how you can use Google ad technologies. And so if you're a newbie to it, you can check this source out. And that watch on demand button is what you'll click once you landed on the page in order to watch these videos. They're only about 60 minutes, and I think there's about 6 or 7 videos, but I highly recommend, because I think it's really important for the publisher to know and understand how these things work. And more, I believe, the leadership team should really understand how their tech stack works and how the services, the core services that drive revenue to the business work. They really need to be connected and understand what these services are doing well, and being able to evaluate how things should work so they can get a good idea of how much revenue they should be making. And there's forecasting tools and those kinds of things. So um, this is really important. Here's the URL that you can go to. I know this will be an on-demand video, so you can pause right here so you can write that down, but it's publishersonair.withgoogle.com/events/GNI-revenue-lab. And the thing about this is, so when you get to this website, you might have to create an account, sign in. If you have any problems with that, maybe I can help walk you through it. But it's super simple. But I highly encourage you to watch these, because it'll give you a baseline understanding of what you should be able to achieve with Google uh, uh, through the Google ad revenue programs. So in summary, awareness. We're going to have to heighten our awareness of audience needs and the kinds of learning and education that's available. We're going to have to really push the bounds of what we think we can achieve with our audiences and revenue models. I think branded content is low-hanging fruit. Better websites, that's also low-hanging fruit in many respects. And doing programmatic ads well. Is doing these 5 things will be you'll be really hard to stop. I think it's just a matter of getting them all done, right? And know that with revenue models, I took a while on that one. That audience generated revenue, that's dependable, meaning the relationship that you cultivate with people is hopefully one you can keep, right? And so it really becomes like, how active are you in maintaining that relationship? Because that can be guaranteed revenue depending on the source. Resources from this talk, again, I pointed you to News Consumer Insights. There's a link to how you can get to it here. These were part of the Google Ad revenue channel that I shared a link to, but these are PDFs that you can download. They're really awesome, and so I really enjoyed looking at these, where a lot of this content from this presentation came from. I am not with Google, right? I was a teaching fellow, but I no less work with Google and consult 10up and the Google News Initiative now, and so I'm very familiar with all the resources they have available for learning. And I highly encourage you to spend time with each one of these. Like, I know people are like out in their market selling things, selling, ads, like running, doing their media kit and stuff. But at some point, we're going to have to stop and figure out, well, what is it that I need to be doing to get me new revenue? And so these kinds of guides are going to be really formative in that exploration, so that you can get new revenue and hopefully more of it. So newsinitiative.withgoogle.com/digital-growth. That is the place to go. With that, I just want to say thank you to NNPA for inviting me to talk. I hope I didn't bore you. I'm here from you from the bottom of my heart. I'm not about shaming, I just want to see a better Black press, and I know that y'all can do it. And if you will have Get Current Studio to be a partner in that process, we'll be all the more thankful. But I just appreciate the time and space to do this work with you, and feel free to reach out. Again, we're at getcurrent.studio. You can book a time, like an appointment, to chat with me. And I hope to see you in any one of the programs, that you might and get access to or accepted to. I mean, I'm wishing all of you the best from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to me and Michael at getcurrent.studio as well. Thank you so much, and take care.